All right, YouTube family. So today we're going to go over 5 things I wish I knew when I started lifting. So these are going to be super important. These are things I wish I knew, and that'll help you, and it'll save you some time as well. So the first thing is that training for aesthetics is not the same as powerlifting, training for strength, or just, strength training. It's different, right? When you train for aesthetics, the focus is to make sure that obviously your shoulder to waist ratio is on point, which means focusing on the V taper, and then also focusing on not getting too bulky. And being aesthetic is generally having a smooth flowing body. You want to look more like Brad Pitt from Fight Club, not exactly like Phil Heath, right? So that means bulking and cutting until you get to the point where you look, pretty aesthetic, right? Which means focusing on shoulders, focusing on upper chest, focusing on quads, things like that, but not looking too bulky, not overdoing it, and being a healthy weight that you can fit into clothes and still look smooth, right? It's way different. So for example, when you strength train, obviously you're doing lower reps, higher weight, and you may not look as aesthetic, but you'll be stronger. When you're training for aesthetics, you might do more supersets. You might do more supersets, more drop sets, more going to failure on certain exercises. And I found that incorporating more calisthenics helps a lot as well. And I focus more on not lifting as heavy as I can, but doing more hypertrophy with calisthenics. All right. Another thing I wish I knew, number 2, is how important nutrition is. Listen, if you're trying to gain muscle, you will not gain any muscle if you're not eating enough protein and in a surplus. If you're trying to lose fat and you want to maintain your muscle, if you're not in a caloric deficit and eating high protein, you won't make any progress. Nutrition is what everybody lacks, right? Nutrition is what most people neglect. That's why you see people go to the gym, they look the same year after year after year, because as soon as they get out the gym, they're eating like shit. They're getting a 4 for 4 at Wendy's, 4 for 4. Or they're just eating whatever, like they're not focusing on nutrition. Focusing on your nutrition, your calorie intake, your protein intake, that is essential, and that is a habit you need to master in the beginning so you can separate yourself and actually reach your goals. Number 3, genetics are going to play a role. Obviously, everyone is not going to have a C-bum physique. We'll all have weak points, whether it be, legs, whether it be chest, whether it be arms, whether it be shoulders. We all have a weak point. So you got to realize that genetics are going to play a role with like your ab shape, your muscle insertions, things like that. Like some people can't get certain bicep peaks. Some people can't get, the teardrops in their quads. It's going to be different for everybody. So you got to work with what you have, focus on what you can control, and do the best with the physique that you have. That's the art of training for aesthetics. Number 4, do not compare yourself to others. One thing I learned working in different gyms, working at 24 Hour Fitness, going to a lot of different gyms, learning a lot about different people on social media, is just how many people are actually on gear, how many people are doing like crazy surgeries. There's a lot of people doing that. So when you compare yourself to somebody, realize that, they might be on gear, but also realize they might have 10 years in the gym and you're just getting started. So focus on your own journey. Do not compare yourself to others. It's just going to make you feel less than. Comparison is the thief of joy, guys. And last but not least, consistency literally destroys all. Consistency in the kitchen, consistency in the gym, it's a superpower. If you're consistent, you're going to win. You're going to be ahead of everybody else in the gym. Consistency is what everybody likes. Like if you literally don't do anything right, but you just show up regardless, you are going to make progress because you're going to learn from experience. You're going to learn from failure. If you fail, that's not the end all be all. Keep going, be consistent, guys. Consistency in the gym, but while you're consistent in the gym, you want to be strategically consistent. You don't want to just go every day and do the same exact weight, right? You want to make sure you're progressively overloading. And then in the kitchen, you want to be consistent, but not consistent in a bad way, right? You want to be consistently eating high protein. And if you're trying to lose weight, eating in a deficit. If you're trying to gain muscle, eating in a surplus. Consistency is so important. So many people go hard when they're motivated and they stop when they're not motivated. Motivation should not be your main driver, guys. Remember what your goal is, write it down, and keep showing up for yourself.